Today I wanted to taste a brand of bourbon that has a bit of historical significance to it, not because it's an ancient whiskey, but this is Old Forester's 1870 original batch bourbon. Old Forester was the first brand to sell its bourbon in a sealed bottle, rather than selling in casks as well, I guess. The brand was developed by George Garvin Brown, and the name Brown continues obviously in the Brown-Forman Corporation, who now are a huge producer of bourbon in terms of that they own Jack Daniels. He developed this particular whiskey as a sort of batch blending from whiskey that he'd bought at 3 distilleries to give a consistency from batch to batch. So that sort of style has been recreated here to celebrate this historic brand, a brand that certainly pre-Prohibition was one of the largest brands of bourbon being sold. Subsequent to Prohibition, I guess its claim to fame is the fact that it's the longest continually produced bourbon brand that there is, although others may be older, they haven't been producing continuously. And that's because it was one of 10 brands that was allowed to continue distilling during the period of Prohibition. They make a number of expressions of Old Forester, and they tend to commemorate various historical occasions in the brand's lifetime. So there's a bottling for 1910 when they had a fire in the distillery. There's a bottling for the introduction of Prohibition. There's a bottling for the introduction of bonded warehousing, I believe. So there are a number of them, and they're at different strengths. So do be sure of which one you're purchasing. But yes, so a hugely popular and significant brand, and owned by a major company as well. My understanding is that the mash bill for this is corn, rye and malted barley, and obviously that then ages in New American oak for whatever period of time is necessary. And again, what they're doing here is they're producing batches. So whereas originally the style was produced with batches of whiskey from different distilleries, this is being produced from batches of whiskey of different distillation dates, different aging, etc., and then combined as a one and just lightly filtered before going into bottles. So it's trying to recreate the same sort of experience as was seen by the original purchasers there. So let's have a look at the whiskey, shall we? Firstly, a lovely colour. I mean, that's a beautiful, vibrant, sort of tawny gold. There's a sort of a slight nutty note in the absolute body of the whiskey there, but generally a sort of a vibrant golden tawny, perhaps amber, you might say. The aromas are rich and plush. There are notes of there's notes of oak, obviously, but it's not raw oak. It's a very refined oak. That's a sort of a beautifully polished table or something like that. There's notes of rich fruit, sort of dried fruit, fig, sultana. There are smoky notes on the top, and there's an underlying sort of candied peel note as well, that sort of rich dried fruit again, candied lemon peel sort of thing. So it's rich, it's attractive, and the spirit is well married with the flavours there. So let's have a taste. The bourbon's at 45% alcohol, so there's a fair kick to it. But it's smooth. There's a real vanilla note there. It doesn't quite have the sort of the richness and the roundness of something like, if I think of Woodford or Maker's Mark or something like that. There's a bit more of a sort of a cut and a slight fieriness to it there. But at the same time, there is a lovely, almost slightly honeyed roundness to the end there. Not necessarily a sweetness, but the warmth of the alcohol is rounding it out nicely. And again, those notes of sort of candied peel coming in there, sort of giving a freshness to the finish there. Perhaps a little bit of sort of touch of sweet spice as well. So I suppose all those are sort of oak notes, and actually the vanilla from the oak is just giving it a lovely, lovely harmony, and rounding out the richness there. So yeah, full, not too sort of rounded, sweet and juicy. You know, there's a little bit of fiery kick to it there, but lovely long rich flavours and plenty to find in there. So yeah, I find that very enjoyable. Thank you for watching, and do join us again. Bye now.